And people are, like I said in the presentation, people are meditating more now than they ever have. And as people meditate, we begin to unify into one mind, because as our consciousness just goes, so the basic grounding meditation for anyone, very simple, is to sit quietly. I suggest sitting in a chair so that you don't lie down in a bed and fall asleep, but just sit quietly. Focus your eyes, because your eyes and your body posture are very important. They're called asanas, and they actually have connecting points of energy. As you do mudras, mudras are hand symbols and signs and shapes that you can make with your hands that will then alter the frequencies. Because think about it, as I discussed about radionics and sigil magic, so are your hands. When you're making different connecting points, they're going to be like acupuncture points for the ethers and your body. So if you're touching your hands, this is why palmistry is important. You can learn palmistry and start doing these mudras and things, and these are actually connecting to points in our body, like organs and different, different energy points. And you're shifting energy as you're making different signs and shapes with your hands. And it's just another thing. That's why I say they've divided the world in so many parts. We can't figure out how to put them back together. But if we have someone just kind of guide us to put the chakras in, and then you do mudras, and making symbols, and then asanas are body postures. That's what yoga is about. Yoga is asanas, and that's energy positions with your body. All of these things are having different energetic effects in fields of energy we cannot see.
Can you go somewhere online to find out what mudra, what positions do? Yes. What?
You can go and do some research. Just go and look up asanas. And start learning some of the basic asanas, learning what points that the body is connected to when you make like different connections with your fingers, for example. Or, I have an Asian friend, for example, she told me that you can make headaches go away by just grabbing your earlobe and squeezing it gently for a few minutes.
Yeah. How do you spell that word? ASAY or H? No,
it's ASANAS.
ASANAS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Asanas.
I will look that up.
And asanas are the plural form, but ASANA is asana.
Okay.
And then mudras, MUDRAS, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why anything in the Vedic knowledge or gnosis is valuable. And if you start diving into what they teach in India, you will begin to awaken to all of these principalities of good and truth and science and spirituality connecting back. Because in Tibet and India, they have still been able to thwart the darkness. And I suspect a lot of it has to do with the practice of meditations and putting protections and things, using the mudras and the sigils and different things to protect their countries and their knowledge. They've tried to weasel their way in, but the black magicians have taken those foundations of knowledge and they've been using it to gain power over us. That's what Hermetics is. Hermetics, this is
that book, yeah.
Yeah, Franz Barden. So Hermetics are based on Hermes Trismegistus or Thoth in Egypt. Thoth was Hermes. And this is foundational magical practice that begins with meditating. And it teaches you how to silence the mind through the practice of meditation, of just listening to your breath and just becoming aware of your thoughts, where your thoughts wander to, but then trying to hone that skill of not having any thoughts. And in order to do that, the easiest way is to start to listen. When you listen, you turn off the monkey mind or the mind chatter that's going, telling you this sentence and that sentence and this and that and the things outside in the world. When you silence and squelch all of that noise, you can then reach this ethereal connection to your soul. And then you can begin practicing these divine magical arts of using the elemental forces, which is controlled through our thoughts. That is the air, fire, water, and earth.
Servitors.
Yes. So that, I mean, all of this, that's why I say all this stuff is coming back right now. And it's
That's a really good book.
Yes. And I have the Bargain Companion. I have all 3 of his books. I think I have them right here. But, I have this Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and it has.
What was that last one?
This is the Emerald Tablets.
Of Tea. Okay.
This is an interpretation by Doriel. And Doriel.
Put it up again. I'm going to get a picture of that. Okay.
That was one of the first books I ever bought.
Wait a minute, it went away and Brian came back up.
No, it's okay.
Aaron is on the screen.
Yeah, here, just.
There, wait now. Hold it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I found this book and something really weird happened. So I bought this book in 2014. I began reading it and I read it all the way through, and I got to a point where it said that the last two tablets would not become available until the time that mankind needed them. And I was like, where are they? They weren't in the book. Did you experience this, Byron?
I pretty much got hung up on certain sections of it. I'm not sure if I got through the whole book.
I read through the whole book because I was so excited. So excited. I mean, something resonated inside of me with this book. And I had heard about this book from another video that I had come across years ago. But I read the whole thing through, and the last 2 chapters were not there, what they call tablets. And I was confused because I was like, well, how are we supposed to get that? It said it would become available when man needed them. And I was like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. How am I going to go out here in the world and find it? Well, I went through the whole book another time, and I started highlighting and marking and doing notes and stuff in the book. And I had gone all the way through a second time. The third time, because it says read it 100 times in order to gain the wisdom contained therein. The third time I went through was about 2017. And the third time I went through, the last 2 tablets were there.
Really?
And it was completely blank. Like, I mean, I didn't have any markings, and I was freaking out because I was like, has anybody else experienced this? Just want to know.
No, but
maybe I did finish that book. I remember the part about 100 times.
Yeah,
it's like gotta read a bunch.
So yeah, somewhere in the back it said, that the last 2 would not be available until we were, I guess, to receive them. And I had not made any markings or footnotes or anything.
So they temporarily appeared?
No, they're there now. They are there. But I'll tell you this too, if you want to know more about how weird our world is, get the complete works of Charles Fort. The complete works of Charles Fort will blow your mind, and you'll be like, oh my God, we really are in a holographic universe.
The complete works of Charles who?
Charles Fort, F-O-R-T.
Fort, okay. I had to move my computer because it was shutting down. It's in the red and it said it was going to close. So I was walking to try to plug in and I missed that. So thank you.
Is that a really old book?
It is, yes, it's actually a man who went around the world documenting and, researching all of the strangest cases that are actually in recorded history of things falling from the sky, strange things. Like there was a phenomena where huge boulders fell from the sky in slow motion. That was actually recorded and written on the written record. And strange phenomena of fish falling from the sky, of course. My friend has actually experienced that in Mexico. And, just really bizarre things that they couldn't even describe what they were when they found them on the ground. They looked like they were amorphous and very, very fascinating information and stories. Though I do highly recommend it because it came recommended from Jordan Maxwell, and he was given that book a long time ago. And he said, it'll blow your mind, but it'll open your mind as well.
I was driving through Mississippi once and a great big rainstorm came up, and there were these little tiny frogs that were landing on the cart coming down. I could see them coming down, and they were too little. They were tiny, like an inch long. They were too little to have jumped up off the ground, and I'm driving. They couldn't have jumped up anyway at 60 miles an hour or whatever. And it was raining frogs. Your fish story, you know, with your friend with the fish, it made me think of that.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Byron, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, you know, about like the negative thought forms and things like that. If you know, if you feel thoughts that are not your own, you can rework that energy and send out a more powerful thought in its place. You have like a window of time before the energy gets sent back out. So it's all about like how you emotionally react to that, and if you feel empowered to change that energy and send out a more positive thought, like almost like you know, from Lord of the Rings, again, you have Gandalf saying, "You shall not pass." You literally have that willpower to stop that energy right in its tracks, body slam it right there, and put a protection, and you know, put that energy of protection up, and then send a powerful positive thought. It's like 1,000 times much more powerful than that little weak negative thought.
Yes, you're absolutely right. This is why they put this stuff in movies again, you know, Lord of the Rings with Gandalf, who was the gray wizard. He was actually representing Saturn. Gray and black represent Saturn. And then when he fought the darkness, which was Balrog, and sent Balrog back down to hell, because they both fell into hell, basically, into the fire and brimstone. He was then reborn. You know, he escaped, obviously, because he emerged again, and he became the white wizard. He was then donning the white robe because he was no longer on any sort of dark spiritual path. Very important symbolism in movies, and also information. To know thyself fully is to know thyself, to become a very powerful consciousness to be reckoned with, and on all levels of consciousness. And I feel like our utmost goal in this reality is to obtain our awareness in the astral realm, so that we can then choose as a spirit, an illuminated form, which path we wish to go, whether we wish to incarnate or not. And I believe that there are higher consciousness beings that are in this realm with us, because it's a huge ladder. And if you think about our world, even in its current state, how we have indigenous peoples that have zero contact with our civilization. And yet, even in Tibet, we have the highest realms where these people are constantly in meditation and communicating with what we would call gods that are above us in consciousness. We have this whole spectrum of consciousness and awareness in this world on many different levels. So our existence is hinged on, you know, where we wish to go, as determined by our free will. Our free will is everything. If we choose to be ignorant and just play in the world, then that's our choice. But as a divine soul, the goal is to always go back to divine source. Derek, you had a question?
I just because you were talking about like clearing the mind, and I was reading this book Causism, and they said the mind it automatically blanks out like when you switch identities. So if you have like your driver identity and then you switch over to like you're sitting at home identity, then your mind will automatically blank, because that's how the mind works. Well, you have to read the book to understand that, but that, you know, if anybody wants to look into that book, Causism, that's a pretty decent stuff about how the mind really works and the tricks you can use to your, you know, benefit.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. But yes, we have different aspects. Again, you know, this is going into also the natal charts. We have different aspects in our personality that will present themselves at different times. And to be able to gain of the awareness of those aspects, whether they're positive or negative, and really honing, bringing in that order ab chaos type of comment, that was actually supposed to be intended for the personal as well as the spiritual, the physical, the spiritual, the mentalism, and all of this stuff was to be the foundations of the ordo out of chaos. So it's order out of chaos. You take anything that's chaotic about your characteristics or your life, and you recognize them, become aware of what works and what doesn't, bringing the balance, trying to walk between worlds, so to speak. You recognize your bad aspects or bad attributes of your personality, and you then start to become the philosopher's stone, where you want to polish that and make it gold. Because gold is where the light is. This is what's called the philosopher's stone in alchemy. If you go from a base, which is a stone or a metal, base metal, and you also start gaining wisdom, and you start doing insight and introspection, and then you start attempting to contain any chaos that is created from your emotional states or imbalances in your life, whether you're frugal out here in the world and you're flippant, and certain personalities are going to bring in a certain type of energy. It's just at its base root form is going to represent certain factions. And when you look at those different aspects of the physical body and the characteristics of the personality, you're going to see the bad and the good aspects as you start to research your own information for the astrology charts. And once you see those and recognize those of what they are inside your personal self, because it's hard to change anything else out here in the world. You can't change other people, but you can change yourself. So you recognize that you are lazy, or you're not busy enough, or just different things that have stopped you from achieving or obtaining a certain reflective point in your personality. Like, hey, I can do better with this. Now let's work on some other aspect. What's next? I need to be more open. I need to be more loving. I need to be more accepting of others. I need to work on my jealousy, or my anything with lower states, or anything that might stop you from obtaining enlightenment and illumination. This is what the philosopher's stone is all about. Changing base to gold, the golden light of illumination. Yeah, that's a lot. And so I delve into all kinds of mystery school information. This is the Celtic Golden Dawn.
I can picture that. I love books. I used to be a librarian. I just haven't filled up to reading. Haven't filled up to reading some of them lately. I've got that Bart. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be afraid of this kind of stuff. People always said, "Oh, that's magic and witchcraft and sorcery," just like everybody else out in the world. But then I was like, you know what? I wouldn't know why people don't want to read Aleister Crowley. I want to know why, these people, why are these people writing these books and everybody's fearful of them? What is it that's in there that is so scary? So I put away my fear and let my curiosity take over. And what I found is that all I see in here is knowledge. And it's just knowledge, and what you do with it determines whether it's black or white. So, that's just it. So I get things like this, the Kunlun system. This is the water path to awakening those divine essences or spirit within. It's Kunlun System by Max Christensen. Oh, sorry. If you guys want to, learn how to truly go within, this is based on Taoism, the art of Tao, what they call Tao. They actually pronounce it with like a D, but it's T in English, because that's what we do. We abominate everything. It's Tao. the art of Tao. And it will teach you how to meditate with imagining. Again, the imagination and the will are what is used in this magical tetragrammaton world of scalar energy and quantum physics. So you'll be imagining bringing in this energy from above and bringing it down into your vessel body. It is a very good practice, and they call it the one path, and it's like the last path of knowing that you'll ever need. This is what they learn in Tibet, is this Tao, the art of Tao. But then I have books, Lost Books of Merlin. I actually found a bunch of these books at a thrift store one time, and I said, you know what, that looks interesting.
Who wrote that one?
This is, let me see, Douglas Monroe.
Great, thank you. Are these books still available, do you think?
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I just wanted to know what these people are up to, because they are, doing things that we aren't, but it's all because they have the knowledge. They have contained the knowledge and the wisdom of the ages, and we've been left in the dark. And Kabbalah and Hermetics and yoga and meditation, all of these things are one teaching. And you'll start to recognize this as you start digging, for more information to learn about all of these things.
Yeah, all of those subjects were bastardized. They were all actually the same study.
Yes, because they wanted to confuse and confuddle people. I mean, I learned about this book from watching Santos Bonacci's videos. This is basically Astro Theology. And as you can see, it has the serpent, which is the Ouroboros. It's also the Kundalini serpent energy that will rise from the base of the spine up to the base of the neck and illuminating the crown chakra. But all of these are the different planets and astrology, it's everything. But then, since I'm a hypnotherapist, I also have books like this, where I can use this to help release people of this darker aspect of themselves. Because basically what they teach us in Hermetics and all of these things is that these lower astral entities are actually thought form entities that have been created, and they reside out here in the etheric field. They're created from our thoughts, literally. And it could be someone else's thoughts that's affecting our field through these energies and these entities. Because as we think about all these dark things or light things or whatever it is, we're actually creating. And what's Hollywood been doing? They've been feeding our minds with all this garbage and all this darkness and death and destruction and all this stuff. So that's out here in the field creating, because the imagination is the dream state, which is the real place where we exist and reside. And it is also Saturn. We reside within the dream world of Saturn's energy. That's why they have this new series called The Sandman on Netflix. Go watch that series and you will learn a lot just from what I'm talking about in there.
The trailer gave me chills for that.
Yes.
It's called The Fan.
The Sandman. The Sand, S-A-N-D.
The Sandman. Okay.
The Sandman.
Yeah,
Like,
you
remember
whole...
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Make them the cutest that I've ever seen. Yeah.
Let me tell you, they're talking about Saturn again. Saturn rules darkness. Darkness is ignorance. Darkness is death. Black is darkness. Anything black is Saturnian in its nature. Yes.
Just like that, it's one of my favorite colors to wear because it's a Scorpio color.
Yeah, and it could be, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil. It's an energy, and it brings in a certain energy. But having it around you, like these Saturnian cube energy things that we're using, allows those other things that are associated with that energy to travel into our realm. That's why I can only express, a lot about how important it is to know that you're speaking to a black cube of Saturn right now, and that energy can come into your world at any point, because that screen is a black mirror, and that shape is the energy of Saturn.
It's not only the screen, there's actually in the circuitry sigils placed there intentionally.
Yes, I heard that as well.
Is pretty wild. I just recently learned that.
Yes, because, it is septic. It is basically septic and represents death, and it's the antithesis of light. So they want to control us, absolutely, which is why they founded Israel, Isis Ra-El, and said that they declared themselves the chosen ones of God. Their God is not our God, I'll tell you that much. Their God is the darkness, and our God is the God of the sun, or the son of the morning, and also the light of the world, which is the sun, the real sun, and it brings light.
Balder.
I'm sorry?
Balder.
Yeah, it gives light, gives life. It's a male energy because he impregnates the earth, the feminine mother, with his light to give birth to life. It's amazing, amazing. It's right here in front of us, but we just need to have some help for someone to show us what it all means. And it's been in the Bible, and it's been, in all of these stories, and we just need to know more about it. But there's people out here that are teaching these things, and I am still learning. I'm always learning, but I want to help other people see as well, which is why I started the Era of My Ways channel. My divine essence told me it was time to go ahead and speak in public, to the population, instead of holding on to this information and just being like, nope, I just know this. Or I've just, been so curious to find all of these things and to find all the connecting points that, I I just decided that it's time, because my soul purpose, I felt that. I never wanted to be on camera. Never. But because my soul was like, you need to start talking to people. That's what made me come out and start talking. I was very introverted as a child, and I had to go through this whole idea and concept of the philosopher's stone, the death and rebirth, the death of the ego, rebirth of the soul. That's all just like peeling layers of an onion. When you go through the trials and tribulations of your life, and you're like, why am I forsaken right now? Why is the world forsaking me? No, you stop. You stop all that, I'm a victim. Stop the victimhood mentality and go, no, wait, let me step back and look at this from a grander perspective. Let me look at everything that's happened, and up to this point, why is this happening? What am I supposed to gain from this? What kind of wisdom and knowledge can I gain from this experience, no matter what that experience is, no matter how hard and atrocious it may be? These people who are out here being human trafficked are absolutely souls that volunteered to come here to play the part of that victim and to experience that life for us to be able to see the darkness. Because as we look at the darkness and comprehend it, we can then know how bright our light can shine. This was one of the wisdoms that came to me from one of my meditations. You will know darkness as you know your light. You have to understand the darkness to comprehend any of your light. Because if there was no darkness to learn from, you would only know light. And there's, it's like everything's great. What am I learning? That everything's great. So it'd just be like Groundhog Day. Yeah, valuable, I think, to just know that you're a spirit and know that you're eternal as well. Never fear death. And as you embrace all of this stuff, and especially the lessons in life, it just releases the anxiety and the fear of things around you. Does anybody else have anything else to share?
Thank you. It's been a
You're
wonderful,
welcome. You're welcome.
interesting evening. I've learned a lot.
Yes, I do have some things in the chat. I'm sorry I don't keep up with the chat, guys. It's hard for me to do that while I'm, just trying to express things. But can you recommend someone to create our birth chart? You should create your chart yourself. This is a workbook you can order. And let me get to the bottom. Douglas Block and Demetra George. This is astrology for yourself. And this will begin to teach you how to create your own birth chart.
Who wrote that? Let's see. There we go. Bring it up a little more.
Yeah, hold on.
I've got,
I'll bring it up. What's up?
The bottom of it. There
Yeah.
we go.
Okay, let me talk so I can just get the camera to look. There you go.
I got it. Thanks.
All right. Well, hopefully, that will give you guys some insight. But I also have to say that in Five Below, and I know Five Below is owned by the Saturnian Group, what's funny is people don't know that this is Black Rock Inc. Black Rock, again, is referring to the Black Rock out in Mecca. The Black Rock Inc. is a corporate conglomerate that owns all of these corporations, them and Vanguard, but they own Five Below and Home Depot and Lowe's, and they own Mac, and they own or Apple and Microsoft. So they own them all, and they give the illusion of choice. But Five Below, do have to say, they're putting out these books of astrology, astronomy, your birth charts and moon magic and all of these different occult teachings that's been hidden from the world. They're bringing it back. It's coming. Because they know, absolutely, there are timekeepers here in this realm to keep us on point with the energies of each age. That's all we need to know. It's not up to us to bring about the age. It comes on its own because there is a divine essence, a divine construct that is the matrix. And there is an intelligence that designed all of this. And each age has to have a certain set of lessons, a certain energy, if you would, an aspect for the souls to learn from. And we're all being divinely guided to that information right now. So each one of you is just a tiny little drop of an ocean of consciousness. And you're out here fishing for information to pull it back into the collective and then to share it and distribute it openly. That is the Jesus resurrection.
Some of the states are fighting back against BlackRock. I think yes. Georgia, Florida, Texas, because they're wanting the pension funds and all to be invested in companies that are all in favor of these really dark things, and people are finding out about it, and they're pushing all the woke school kids and everything else. So people are finding BlackRock's name has been showing up in the news a lot lately about that kind of thing.
Well, again, what is this? This is the Great Awakening. We're going to gain awareness on all levels. And in the near future, not too far off, we are going to have a truth singularity point where all of these truths are known. But because our collective consciousness is so much greater than theirs, we are going to overwhelm their Saturnian energy power that they've been bringing in all this time. And together, we're going to create the world we wish to see. But we have to start recognizing the aspects that we can change and what we can't change.
Yeah. You make me think of that song we had in church years ago. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine. We all need to be out singing that, holding our candle up high.
Yes, and thank you, Nancy, because again, you guys, we got to just become like children again. Yesterday, I was just at Pirate Palooza in downtown Decatur, just around Atlanta, dressed as a pirate. And I'm going around, we're singing pirate songs and stuff, even though Pirates of the Caribbean, again, is another nod in the direction of these thieves who've been thieving our souls and our money and our essence. It was just to get out and be joyful and to watch the smiles on people's faces. And they're just so excited to see a bunch of adults acting like kids. Why is it so difficult, to bring joy to the world just with singing and dancing? I don't drink because I know what spirits do. It's called spirits for a reason. But, to get out here and to just be yourself, be who you truly wish to be. I used to want to be that person. I used to look at things and go, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. I wish I could go there and do that and do those things. No, you know what I did? Throughout this process of awakening my spirit and my divine essence, I just had to say, you know what? I don't care what people think. I'm just going to go out here and do this now. But I had to lose that fear. And the fear had a grip on me like nobody's business. I have been attacked as a child from entities and energies and people, and abuse and suffering and, all of these things. I've experienced the entire gamut. And to be able to come here and be in front of you and to speak openly and willingly without fear or repercussion from any of my words is something that each of us needs to have as a power, a foundational power of just being like, nothing is stopping me now. When you can get to that,
Great.
when you get to that point of no longer being a victim of the circumstances, and you look at those circumstances of your past, from the abuse, from the pain and suffering, whatever it may have been that you've experienced, because we've all been there. Every single one of us has experienced doubt, pain, depression. Once you can come out and emerge as a phoenix, you will become stronger than you've ever known. And it empowers you completely to your core. And you go out and you give love and you give knowledge and you do all these things. I am not about money. Money is the antithesis of my soul. I have to tell you that. But I do know absolutely we have to have it to function in this society. I was making really good money in Hollywood. I won't lie. It was more money than I'd ever made on a consistent basis in my life. But I said, you know what? My soul is not worth that dollar of that paper, that it's printed on. And all of that is sigil magic. That paper that you carry around in your wallet is a sigil, and you take it everywhere you go when you go shopping or whatever. And it is enacting its intentions on you at any given time. Believe me, I have taken my crystal and I have counteracted that black magic. I do this with everything they do. I was in one of the hospitals, with a friend. I had to take my friend to a hospital, and they had some logos or symbols on the wall. I was like, oh no, black magic. And I dispelled that. This is the things that you can do. Now that you've got this knowledge of how to do some of these practices, you can now go and start dispelling some of the sigil magic that they've created, because it will absolutely just it dispels it. And it will no longer work because the intentions are then cut off. I'll tell you this real quick, and then I've got to get over to this question. I met a woman in my town who had been talking about, we got into some spiritual talk and stuff, and she was at my friend's store buying some stuff. And I was talking to her. She said that she had been part of a exorcism with another person, some friend of hers, but they had gone to this woman's house and they were trying to exorcise this demon from her. And she said, absolutely, it was just like The Exorcist. This woman was spouting all kinds of foul language and things that they didn't understand, and they just spitting and doing all kinds of crazy things. And it took them 1 month. They had to actually get a shaman in to help get rid of this thing, but it took them about 30 days to get rid of this thing. And I said, look, I want to know you. I want your name and number, because you never know when you might need some information like that. I said, if you ever come across something like that again, you call me, because I'm not afraid of that kind of stuff. And she said, okay, absolutely. So she called me one day, and she wasn't experiencing a demon herself, but she was experiencing 2 portals that opened up in her house. She said to me, she said, look, I'm really good at dispelling this stuff, but for whatever reason, this thing keeps coming back and I can't get rid of it. Can you come over here and help me? And I said, absolutely. I'll come over there. So I took my dowsing rods. Let me show you what my dowsing rods look like. I bought these from Barnes & Noble a long time ago. And they came in one of those little book packages, you know, with some different things. It had a booklet and a little dowsing plate that you could do yes and no with a pendulum, and it had a pendulum in it. So what you do with these is these wiggle really easy because they have two copper little seals that they rest in. So they wiggle really easy. So I have to rest my thumbs on top. And I took these things to her house. You can actually go out here in the world and divine for all kinds of crazy energies. Whatever your intention is, you can find it with these things, even gold. You go out and you say, oh, well, I want to go heal some of the energy points in the earth. And you walk around your yard and you find those points and you release that energy with the crystal. Well, I did this in her house. I brought these because I'm not that sensitive to energies because I've shut that aspect off since childhood from the abuse that I had. So I just used them in the two areas that she described because I was like, okay, let me just see. Well, I got to the point where one of the places where she described and they crossed, and I walked away just to verify that. So I walked away from that point with the rods, and then I walked back towards it and they crossed again, same spot. I said, okay, there's something here because I've learned, you know, how to work with these things. You do have to kind of feel that out in the beginning. And so I took out my crystal and I did the technique about you got to release the energy of the crystal, then recharge it with love. That's in my videos. But then what I did was have the crystal in my hand, and I have a crystal right here. I'll show you. I had this crystal in my hand like this, and I created an imaginary gold ring. And this is, I know it looks like it's clockwise to you, but it's counterclockwise to me on the screen. I did an inhalation, held my breath while I made this golden imaginary ring. And then I immediately made another golden ring inside of it like a bullseye. And then I went and I did a very sharp outward breath through my nostrils, because as you shoot the air or prana out of your nostrils, it sends a charge that Marcel Vogel could then, you know, register on his equipment that he had in his lab. So that electrical charge goes through the ethers like a bullet, like a laser beam, and it breaks the energy. So I did this 3 times, just inhaling, hold the breath, imagine the circles, and the 3rd time was a charm. Let me tell you, I took out my little divining rods here, tested the area, and they did not cross. I did that for the other portal that she said was on her bed, and you know, obviously there was something because I tested it first. And then I said, okay, look, you know, I'm going inwards now, and I'm saying, okay, what is causing this to come back and to return continually? Because she said she had dispelled it a few times and it kept coming. I went into her bathroom and I looked around and I looked. When I turned to my right, I was turning towards her vanity and her mirror. And I was like, my internal knew, it said the mirror. Because I've studied some of these things, these aspects of our world that, you know, that these are portals. And I said, oh, it's the mirror. And as I looked in the mirror, I saw another mirror that was facing it. So I looked behind me and I was like, oh my gosh, there's 2 mirrors. And these portals are trapping the energies from someone who had visited her house. Now, these energies that may have been riding around on this person obviously got trapped in these mirrors and was staying in her house and reopening these portals, because the portals, she said, were affecting her son. And so I went around, I just I went counterclockwise around the mirrors to dispel them. And then I told her, I said, get out the sage once I'm gone and burn clockwise around all of the mirrors and all of the portals and all the black mirrors and all of these things. And state your claim again, you know, claim your dominion, take your space back from these things. I've closed all the portals that I can, doing the counterclockwise rotation over all of them, even the, you know, inside, outside, and any mirrors, black mirrors, windows, all this stuff. I went around to everything counterclockwise, but I told her just to come back clockwise with the smoke after I was gone. I called her the next day and she said, everything is great. Everything feels great and it's all done. Thank you. This is the knowledge we can do for each other. You can go and just practice these things and help yourself and others with this knowledge. You know, it's imperative, I feel right now, to begin learning this stuff again. Does anybody else have anything to share to any of this?
Well, I met William Peter Blatty years ago, who wrote The Exorcist. He spoke at a library convention back when I was a librarian. And he said that that book he wrote was based on a real case, only it was a boy, not a girl. And he was in a hospital in Ohio or New Jersey or somewhere. And all the doctors and nurses, a lot of people saw this because it happened in a hospital setting. And so that was very interesting. But he said when he walked away from all that, though, he said when it was all over, he had all these strange experiences. He came home one night and he had a big heavy painting in the foyer and it jumped off the wall and tried to hit him. Wow. And his secretary was trying to type the final chapter and the typewriter kept doing all this gibberish no matter what she typed and all. And some heavy cameras went down the steps in Georgetown and killed, I think at least 2 people were killed during the filming and all. And he said that all that dark energy came in at him doing the book. So he said, I'm never doing another book like that again.
Yes. And
he needed you there.
they tell us truth in movies, guys. The Stranger Things. I worked on Stranger Things. I'm also currently making a mural in my town for someone who wanted a Stranger Things mural. It was based in reality. It's based on MK Ultra mind control. And also it was a story about a boy. I found out it's a real story about a boy who they, I guess, grew in a lab. You know, these my labs, you hear about the military laboratories, they call them my labs and they're all underground. And so this little boy actually had these extraordinary powers. And those are the universal powers that we all have. But they have been removed from us through the vaccinations and through indoctrinations and things of this nature. But this boy was able to actually control demons and to control, you know, this whole other, what we would call unearthly realm. It was really kind of interesting, but I didn't go too deep into all of that, what that was about, because I want to try to bring about the positive changes and, you know, try to illuminate people and give them tools to work with so that they can go out and fight darkness wherever they are. So, but yeah, Meredith shared in the chat, she said, you know, I helped Meredith. She's one of my friends. She had some back pain, and Meredith, you can tell the story about that if you want.
Hey, yeah, when we were in Panama City, I had this reoccurring back pain, lower back. It felt like I was not aligned right. And so I went to a chiropractor. I tried to work it out in yoga, and it just wouldn't align. I don't know how to describe it, but Ellen offered to help me. She's like, all right, sit down. And so she did her magic. And I tell you, it didn't go away initially. I mean, at first it was like, there was a relief, but it was still kind of underlining there. But over a course of a few days, it just went away. I haven't had any pain anymore. It is, I don't know, I can't describe it, but it just felt like it was just so irritating and just annoying. And I've been blessed that Ellen is in my life and my friend. So
thank you for that, Meredith. Yeah, so, and that was done through the crystal knowledge of
yes.
Marcel Vogel. Just so you guys know, I do try to put that, you know, on my channel, you'll find the videos that I put out based on the wisdom of Marcel Vogel and all of his scientific findings of what crystals can actually do, as opposed to that the books that you find out here today are not the foundational truth about crystals. And he said, absolutely, this needs to be rewritten. That all of this stuff about putting them in the sunlight and charging them in the moonlight and doing, purifying them in spring water, he said that absolutely has zero effect. Because in the lab, he could actually, determine whether these things had an effect or not, because he had all kinds of crazy equipment to register the readings and different, turnouts of all of the energies from it. So we just have to bring that knowledge back. And Meredith has given me some information on how to get in touch with Marcel Vogel's family, because Marcel's no longer alive in the world, to give us his wisdom and to give permission to write books about him. But it is my intention to contact his family and to ask for permission to write books about his videos that he put out. So that way there will be no sort of copyright infringement, and the knowledge needs to just be brought back to the world, and somebody's got to do it. And I am so willing to, because I found his work to be so endearing, because he was so humble and openly and freely giving of his knowledge. So that I want to bring that to the world. Unfortunately, we live in a world where I would have to, charge people $10 or whatever to cover my costs for the printing costs and all that stuff. But I would probably put it on somewhere like Amazon so that people could just order them as they wished. But I certainly wouldn't be charging much. It would just be the cost for all of that stuff. Oh, okay. All right, Nancy. Thank you. Nancy said.
Hi.
So funny. Okay, and I'm sorry, Stefania, if we've been kind of glazing over things, but I know that you had questions about stuff. So I want to go back up to your question. I know it kind of scrolled down a little bit. She wants to know where she can find crystals that work. I do sell crystals. I have them continually because I feel it's very important to have them on hand. So if any of you would like to purchase a crystal, I have different sizes and shapes. I don't have them with me right now. I have them out at where my mural is because I've been showing people. I have them on display. But I have anywhere from a $5 version, which is only about 2 inches, to some of them might be 3 or 2.5, up to a bigger size, which is about $10 for one that's definitely 3 inches and a little bit larger, all the way up to a much larger size, which I'm running low on currently. That's about 4 to 5 inches. And those run anywhere from $20 to $25. And so they're very affordable. They're not like the Vogel crystals. Real Vogel crystals, for any of you who are looking into getting into some of his cut crystals, are very expensive. And they are not going to be found on all these different websites out here. You can only get them through the sites that are approved through Luminary Studios. There is 1 or 2 cutters remaining that cut them to the specifications of Marcel Vogel. That means they have to maintain a central axis inside their matrix. It is the axis that actually lines up with the tip of the crystal. And it is then cut, the crystal is then cut. I'll go get a picture so that you guys can see. The crystal is then cut to the tree of life pattern, almost like a wand, and is cut with many facets. So that way it amplifies the energy that goes through the crystal. And I'm going to grab this little crystal Vogel cut. Let me close this one. Okay. And all right, let me share screen. I got so many windows open right now. It's kind of hard to figure out what's going on. There's that, and then this. Here we go. Here's the Vogel cut crystal. This crystal, I'm going to close this other window. Just kind of get that out of the background. I got too many things open. Okay. This crystal design is actually cut to the tree of life, with the male end being a little bit longer than the female end. The female end of this crystal sits in the palm of your hand, and the male end is going to be the tip of the wand that will then shoot the energy from your intentions and your thoughts through the hand, out the crystal and out the tip as you point it in different directions. So it basically just amplifies your thoughts and intentions as you hold it in your hands, because crystals are piezoelectric. And when you give them a slight squeeze, they give off this electrical charge. Now, when you've charged these crystals with love through your intention and your breath work, which is in my videos, you have to discharge them from their previous use and then recharge them with love intentions and joy and gratitude. And that will then store that energy in its matrix. That energy will then be amplified as you use this in your practices. And you don't need this cut crystal necessarily, but he did say that as these facets, the more facets you get cut into this shape, it amplifies the spin rate of the energy that goes through it. So I do believe that this is a little bit more powerful with intentions and thoughts than a normal crystal. But a normal crystal, as I have shown, will have, this is a naturally formed crystal. And this is what I consider a normal or natural crystal because of its inclusions on the inside. The inclusions will have a whitish color. And then as the crystals come together, they push into each other and they begin creating this one crystal, which is then, it'll then start to become clear on the inside as they compress further and further. And so this is all you truly need to work with these different divine energies. And it will have uneven sides. These crystals that are out here in the world that you find in metaphysical shops or in, different places where, you can buy things of this nature, the ones that are perfectly polished and cut with even sides are not viable to use for this practice because they are not necessarily cut with the including of the C-axis. And the C-axis is the foundation that you absolutely have to work with in order to practice any beneficial means by use of a crystal as a tool. And so those, things that you find in metaphysical shops that are the stones don't hold your consciousness like a crystal does. You can use amethyst and citrine as long as they maintain the tip. Very important knowledge. A chunk of crystal without the tip is not going to be viable. That tip, which is a scalar shape, is a pyramid shape, and that's considered a scalar wave shape. And that shape is imperative along with the central axis that allows the crystal to be used in this manner. Man-made crystals do not work. They do not hold the consciousness of the planet, which is the earth energy, which is an earth frequency. It is not a living crystal. Only the natural crystals will work. You can find them in random places. The size of the crystal doesn't matter. It can be a tiny little crystal as long as you can hold it a certain way by putting your forefinger on a side facet at the top of the pyramid and placing your thumb underneath and holding two sides with your other hand just to stabilize it. You have just put battery cables onto the crystal. And this crystal is now giving off an electric charge because I'm holding it gently in my hands, giving it a little squeeze. And now, if I didn't clear this crystal before I used it, it would be shooting out with the energies that it has been accumulating from my consciousness since the last time I used it. And I always clear these crystals because it will remember anything, even if you have a moment of anger or doubt or pain or anything in your life. You come across people, and you may take in their energy, and that then gets funneled into here. It stores it and it banks it. It's got a memory and it's unlimited in that memory. So it's always important and imperative to get rid of whatever it has picked up on and just clear it out and start fresh. Just like, a pot, when you go to cook, you wouldn't start with a dirty pot because it's going to cake on bad energy. But all of this stuff is based in alchemy. Every single bit of it. This entire world is alchemical in its nature. So every aspect is alchemy, and each of us is part of that alchemical process. And it's a grand thing once you can make all of these connections. And I hope that I have been able to connect some of these dots for you. Are there any other concerns or comments that you have? Let me check the chat because I don't know if I got it all. Yeah, so I kind of went over what it was, what Estefania was saying about where would she be able to buy a crystal and how does she know if it's fake or not. You can just order a natural crystal online if you find one that you like. Make sure it's natural and not cut. And then that you would know. But if you want an expensive one, and they start at about $750 or $850, the Vogel crystals are viable. They have them at the Kabbalah Center here in Atlanta, but you have to go to luminarystudios.com, and I will put that in the description box down here in the chat. luminarystudios.com. They have a list of the vendors that have been authorized to sell Vogel cut crystals. They are the real deal, because what they would do is they would play classical music while they cut these things, and they would put love into the action. So that way the crystal would not have some corrupted energy in its process. And then they mail them out, and I believe they come in a lovely box and a little pouch, a little soft velvet pouch or something. I've only seen them briefly at the Kabbalah Center, and they were tiny. They were not the large crystals that Marcel uses in his videos, and I was a little bit disappointed, so I was hesitant to buy one. But I believe in the future, I will order one specifically cut to my needs from Drew Towsley, who is the owner and purveyor of Luminary Studios. He is one of the cutters that cuts these crystals. And from learning about these crystals, I feel like if you were to cut it in a circular shape, like a wand, it would probably have and contain the most power. But that I've been holding that knowledge to myself, because I realize what wands are now. When you see them, used in Harry Potter and all these other movies, they are a very long, elongated shape of a scalar wave. And in Harry Potter, they talk about, the wood of a specific tree that they come from. And those trees carry a divine energy. And that energy is based on, whatever that principality is. And that energy is carried through that wand with your intentions. But the hair of a unicorn and all that stuff, Harry Potter, I believe, had the wand made from a holly tree, Hollywood, which is the magic wand of Hollywood. But it supposedly had a unicorn hair inside of it. And only certain people could make wands because they had to have a certain kind of knowledge. And then they would match wands with the magician based on what the magician's intentions were, as well as the personality and divine essence of that magician. And these were all things that they had in the past, but all of that knowledge is coming back today. And, you can make your own magic wand that is used for your divine purpose. There's actually these women out here who are actually making wands for people based on what they sense. So one of my friends actually ordered a wand from someone, and she made it based on what her intuition was for my friend. And my friend showed me a photo of what this wand did to her computer. She forgot about the wand. She left it sitting where it was pointing at the screen on her computer. And she said she had to take a photo of it because she couldn't believe it. It basically burnt a hole, it made a black hole of the pixels and made a black hole in her screen. And she had to get a new computer. So it basically burnt a hole through the liquid crystal device, and not physically, but she couldn't use the screen because that hole was always there. There's like a black spot that appeared from the energy of the wand. So it absolutely was resonating. Yeah, more principalities of things we can't see, but knowledge of such things will bring us into our awareness. Okay, now what else have we got? Okay, Stefania wants to know a website. Well, Stefania, if you want to buy them from me, you can email me and I can send you photos of some, or you can go, not sure if they have them on Amazon as individuals. I know you can buy them like in bulk in places, but as far as individuals, I haven't seen too much of that. Maybe on Etsy or something like that. Maybe you could find one. Do make sure that it's natural, but there should be some affordable ones, I would think, on Etsy. But you could also go out to some of these metaphysical stores if you have one in your area and just pick one up. Sometimes they'll have them in like a little bowl, and you can just select. It can be a small one. It doesn't have to be huge in the beginning. I like working with some that fit in the palm of my hand because they feel nice. But I also have some smaller ones that I'll keep around in case I need to just pick one up for some reason. But once you learn how to use this energy, you can release pain from people. Just with your thoughts. So you meditate with a crystal. I'll just go over this briefly. After charging the crystal with love, you can ask for permission. You ask permission from the person that you're about to use the crystal on. Say, hey, may I use this crystal on you? And they'll say yes. And as long as they say yes, you can proceed. But you don't have to touch them or anything. You can just stand where you are and you focus on the crystal. You start inhalation. You do this inhalation exercise where you start inhaling deeply, bringing in the prana, which is the life force energy. You exhale completely, you inhale again. Only through the nose you do this practice. Do not open the mouth, because that will then start to filter out all of the energy that you're building up in your body. So what is it called? It's like sorry, I can't think of the term begins with a D and I can't think of it. It not dissolves, but it's like it diffuses. It diffuses too much of the energy. So you want to always do this practice through your nose. So you inhale deeply, do this 3 times at least, and it's building up the prana and the electricity in your body as you do this. So on the 3rd inhalation, you will then look at the crystal in front of you like this, focusing on the tip, because that's where you're always going to be focusing on. Don't look at the side, look at the tip, because this is the scalar part. You look at this tip, you inhale, you take a picture, a visual image, a snapshot in your mind of how this is held in your hands. You then look at the person's face and grab a snapshot of the person's face. You then look back at the crystal, close your eyes, imagine the crystal in your hand, and then you exhale and expel the breath while imagining the person's face in there. And it will go out, shooting an electrical charge out into the ethers and affecting that person's field of energy, releasing the memories, because all the pain and suffering is based on memory, cellular memory. We are made of water. We are made of the elements. And as we are water, we are retaining all of this information around us, all the emotions, all the frequencies, everything's getting stored in our water. That is our cellular structure. And I'm sorry, there's a gnat flying around me. It won't leave me alone. He's wanting to use my crystal, I guess. He's getting on everything. But yeah, this will release memories, cellular memory. And that's what I did for Meredith, is I helped her release the cellular memory that had been there so long. And once you release it, they may not feel or experience something immediately or fully right away, but you can do this again and again until they get to a point where they either don't feel any pain anymore, or it's so diminished that it will then naturally go out. I did this for other people as well. But all of this information is in the Crystal Brigade videos that I have, and the how to charge and discharge crystal. So what do we got? All right. Yeah, Meredith says she's happy for the release. It is a lot of information, guys. I'm sorry, and I know it's 9:30, but it's a lot of information. And if you guys ever have any questions at any point, you know, after this session tonight, just feel free to email me, reach out to me, send me comments, concerns, questions, whatever you have, and I'll give you whatever I know. That's just how I am, and I feel like everyone should be that way. You know, just start sharing information. Anything else from anybody? You guys got anything to share? Comments, questions, suggestions? Well, if there's no more comments or anything that anybody has to say, I want to thank all of you, each and every one of you, for being here tonight. I know it's a lot of information. I know it can be overwhelming and confusing too, until you actually start really digesting some of the information. But it will sink into your being and your inner knowing, and you will move forward, and you will know exactly that you are divine essence and expressing itself outwardly in this world and this experience. But thank you all for being here. We're all on the journey together, so you can unmute your microphones if you wish.
Thanks, Ellen. I appreciate that you offering this class to us. It's been very informative and helpful.
Yeah, well, there's so much more to it, and you're welcome. You know, you're very welcome, because there's so much more to all of this. I've only given you like little bitty seeds to go out and explore more of, and each one of us is a gardener in this whole realm of knowledge. But thank you, each and every one of you. And if you wish to say goodbye, that's okay. If not, that's okay. You know, I love you where you are, wherever you are in the world.
Goodbye. Thank you. It was very informative.
Yes, thank you.
We
Yes,
use the crystals.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Kim, for coming from all the way over in Australia. That's amazing.
It's been really, 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 really good. My brain is full, but it's good. I'm like, which book am I going to get first? Oh my God.
It's a lot, and I have so many more. That's what's so crazy. I brought some of the main ones, you know, but there's so many more. And
I love that astrology for yourself, because that's really helping you to do it yourself. As I used to be a little bit addicted to healers, and then I kind of felt spirit go, you know, you're addicted to healers and you need to do this yourself. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it myself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, just doing the QHHT, and then, you know, more recently, I took the Theta Healing class that my friend is offering. She's on this path where she wanted to know more ways to heal people, because she's a chiropractor. So she offered this Theta Healing class. And when I took the basic course, I'm like, this is what I already know. That's what they're teaching in Hermetics. They're teaching this in Hermetics, you know, they're teaching this in meditation. It's all about your imagination. It's the magic of your mind is truly what anything is about. And it's about knowing your power.
It's really fascinating, because when I was a child, I was super imaginative, but yeah, that got beat out of me very, very quickly. And so now I'm like, all right, I realize why they did that, but you can regain it. And I really want to regain it. But yeah, everyone was like, Kim, you don't, like, I used to have on reports, she lives in fairyland. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. What's wrong with fairyland? It's fantastic. But yeah, I feel like now I've lost it a lot. You know, you cut it off because you want to be accepted by the people around you. And then so you cut it off. And now I just want to regain it. But it's, you know, coming back slowly.
You just do it. You just do it without fear of what people think, you know.
Yeah.
It really helped, you know, because I absolutely love costumes, and I love like the Renaissance fairs and things of that nature. So I have a whole wardrobe just based on all kinds of different costumes. You should see, I probably have over 50 costumes, and I will wear them out to the coffee shop, you know, in my small town where small minds. And I'll just sit there and work on my computer as a pirate or as an elf or as a whatever. I don't even care. It's my
I
world.
love dressing up like Celtic stuff, you know. In Tasmania, we have a lot of festivals based on Celtic stuff.
I love
So
it.
I love dressing up like that. Yeah. So if you ever want to come to Tassie, it's a small little island of paradise under Australia.
Yeah, no, Tasmania. I mean, I'm very much aware about it. But yeah, so that's, and I'm going to tell you something, Kim. That foundation, that little spark, that knowing inside of you is from your past. Because
Yeah.
I have always felt a strong connection to Ireland or anything Celtic in this life. And
Yeah,
I
me
love,
too.
listen, any of that fiddle music, you know, the violins, the fiddle, the river dance, the, you know, bagpipes, and any Celtic designs and things of that. I'm like, why am I so drawn to this? Well, that was that life in Ireland, you know, where I jumped from the cliff. But it is also even farther back. You're not going to believe this. I was actually an elf as part of Yggdrasil, and I had purple eyes, and I was in Alfenheim somewhere because I had very pale skin and very pale hair, and I was very frail looking. I was like tall and lean, but I had very deep violet purple eyes, and I was like, what? And
Was this in the when you did the when you did the whatever you do
yeah,
when you go back in your past life?
Yeah, it's past life regression therapy. So it's QHHT that I do. And this quantum healing hypnosis technique is Dolores Cannon's work.
Yeah, I've looked up some practitioners in Tasmania. There's not a lot, but there's one, I think. Yeah, it's a little place. It's a very little place.
Yeah, that's fine. But you know what? You can listen. I'm just saying this, when you're ready for the next level of awareness, these past life regression therapy sessions, if you get a good practitioner, I can't say that all of them are good. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I hear bad stories from some of the people that have come to me. They said, well, I've used this other person and they weren't the same. You know, they're like, I like what you've done. And I'm not tooting my own horn because I'm not about
No.
that at all. But, you know, I do realize that some people just aren't as good as using, because you have to, as the practitioner, you have to use your imagination. This is where that childlike mind that I've reacquired has been a benefit to being a practitioner, because you're trying to help someone navigate basically through the dream world or their imagination, and to help them see all of the things they need to see in this session. So they're experiencing traumas, and they're experiencing other things in other lives they've lived. And you've got to be able to guide them in the best way possible to help them get the information. But so that's what happened with me, is I exchanged sessions with someone else, another practitioner, and this thing came out about this lifetime as an elf. And I was just like, what in the world? I'm like, where's my subconscious mind going with this white elf with purple eyes? I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I couldn't relate to anything out here in the world until I said, you know what? I'm going to go do some research. I'm not going to stop there. I'm the researcher. I'm going to go dig and find out what it means. So the purple eyes are the rarest eye color in this world. Very, very weird, but it is the rarest eye color. And Elizabeth Taylor is said to have had purple eyes.
Yeah, I looked her up after you talked to Tartaria Australia. I was like, what? Purple eyes?
No.
So exciting.
Whether it's true or not, you know, why would they say that? Why would they even mention that? I don't know. But and then going even deeper within, I just had another hypnosis session recently, and I wanted to know more about this life as an elf. And I tell you, I was there and I came to help during the Great Awakening. Amazing. There. It's why it's so weird, but it's why I'm double Aquarius, which is a double air sign. I'm Aquarius in my sun sign, and I'm also Aquarius in my rising sign. So in my north node or my rising sign. And it just means that I am doubling down on truth, because Aquarians want to know the truth. They want to save the world. Their energy is where they are compassionate about all life, not just themselves, but they're very intuitive and also intellectual. But I was never this intellectual until I had started this path of really absorbing knowledge.
Yeah. Well, it was really cool because like lately this spiritual lady came and stayed. She's like, wow, you've got a lot of elementals around here. I said, what's that? She's like, fairies and elves. I'm like, oh yeah, sounds about right.
So what I would suggest to you is, I mean, and this just comes from the knowledge of Yggdrasil that I've been learning, that you may have that elf, you know, a lineage of the elf world. Because I talked about how I have elvish features, like I have pointy features, which are of the elvish world.
Yeah, you do.
And then I have, you know, I have blue eyes, but I love birds too, which are of the air. You know, I'm like, these are all things. Once you find out these aspects, you're gonna be like, oh my God. You know, you're like, I came from the higher realms of air to come and help. Yeah. People won't.
It's amazing.
I know. I mean,
I feel like there's just so much to learn, and it's just like going fast, and everything's like you're learning it so fast, and everything's happening so fast, and you know, like as soon as you sort of cut off all the bad tides, it's like, what? And you're like, I was like, oh no, I have to have a job and I have to have money. I might end up in the gutter. And Spirit was like, when has that ever happened? I'm like, oh, never. Okay, well, don't worry about it. I said, oh, fuck a job then. I don't want to have a job. And so you just go, I'm not having a job. And it all works out. It's so weird.
It is weird.
And you just go call in abundance and it comes and it's like, what the heck is going on? It's so fun.
That is 5D. That's the 5D that they speak of out here in the spiritual realm. Living 5D means living your truth, means stepping away from the fear and actually embracing that divine essence and that energy of what you came here to do. That's what that's all about. That's amazing.
Yeah, and just every day unfolding, just letting the day unfold as it happens in that day.
Yes, exactly.
You know, like, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Sorry for swearing. We're like, what the heck? What's next? What?
And
like 5 things happen that are so amazing. And you're like, what? Yeah, it's good. It's exciting. Life can be really exciting. And, you know, all of this stuff that they're doing is irrelevant, because if you make this kind of bubble for yourself, it's like you're observing it, but it doesn't affect you. Something like that.
Yes.
You know,
it's like, oh, yeah, there's that saying, be in the world, but not of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what we're doing. I have to attest to that. You know, 2020 was the same thing. I couldn't do the job thing.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't really want a job. And since I've said that, so many people have offered me a job and I didn't get my job lost, even though I'm a teacher. I'm like, when is my head going to get chopped off? Oh, it hasn't. This is amazing. And then they're like offering me jobs. I'm like, nah, I don't need a job. They're like, what do you mean you don't need a job? I'm like, jobs are the thing of the past. And they're like, they just look at you like you're crazy.
I know.
So, don't need a job.
It's amazing. It is.
It's amazing. Yeah. And this is what we have to do. We have to start living this new reality. We just have to, because, you know, I've come from this cult thing and I know all about it. You know, they killed babies. They did all of that sort of stuff, and all that knowledge was revealed to me when I was young. The family didn't even know about, and then they found out about it because I had visions and downloads about it. They're like, no, that's not true, Kim. I'm like, I think it's true. And then found out about it, and then called a guy who wrote a book about it and told him. He's like, no, that didn't happen. I said, I don't think it happened. Then he goes like, oh, it did happen. I'm like, yeah. So I just like, there's the truth of this cult of the family. Now I'm going away to have a happy life.
I know.
I just let you know the truth. See you later. Yeah, we have to be happy now. You know, all of that stuff has to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because anything less than joy and laughter is the darkness, I mean, you can be in the heart and still be balanced, but don't go below the heart chakra. The moment you go below that heart chakra and get into those lower emotions, that's when, the darkness will have that reach. And we need to get away from that. And that's what this whole Christ consciousness thing is about. It's about ascending back into the heart chakra, ascending out of the reach of these dark controllers of archons, and just moving forward as a species. That's all we got to do.
Yeah, we have to. We have to, and we have to not get in the loop because, all the freedom fighters, sometimes can get in the loop of just talking about the bad stuff over and over and over again. It's like, well, yeah, all right. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's come and do some good stuff.
So here's what our purpose is, whatever we need to focus on. And that needs to be our sun. That needs to be the direction that we point. That's our compass for pointing north, is the direction of what we came here for. All of the other things, it's okay to pop in to kind of, be filled. Yeah. But don't get distracted by it, because it is a huge distraction. Huge.
Yeah, it's really, and you can just go round and round until your mind is just overwhelmed.
That's why I don't even listen to it hardly anymore, because of the foundations of the Astro Theology chart and what it says about where we came from and where we're going, knowing that we're going into a better future, no matter what. It doesn't matter who's who and all of this. And then, King Charles, all this nonsense, none of that stuff is going to matter.
No. And that's what I'm saying to people. Like, all of this is going, like, I don't think you realize, people are seeing, little people are seeing creatures that have come out from the underground. Like, are you guys not aware of like you're talking about that? There's creatures coming out from underground. There's dragons, man.
Yes.
Like, what the heck? Let's talk about that. It's so exciting.
I know.
All of that stuff. And people I just think they're going to be shocked.
Yeah, well,
I'm ready for it. I'm like, sure, why not? Dragons, that's great.
See, the dinosaur bones they've been finding are the dragons, and these other mixed bag of creatures that were created when they were splicing genes and genetics back during the age of Atlantis. All of these things were real. The cynocephalus, all of the cryptids and mythological creatures, they were absolutely real. They would not make this stuff up. And
I've seen videos of them, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, the mermaids. I've had 2 mermaids that are in human form now that came from the mermaid realm that did not know each other, but that had very similar experiences where they had seen each other. I had to get them to meet in this life, because I was like, oh my, you came from that world too? I was like, that's the land of Potolo. That's where the fish people are. Underground. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this person knew and that person knew, and they didn't know each other. And I was like, you can't make this stuff up. That's why I said, absolutely, this hypnosis thing is real.
Yeah, I really want to do that. You don't do online practices, or know someone who's good who does online practices?
Well, so now I tell people this because Dolores Cannon never wanted us to do online.
No, I know.
But I took another course from another practitioner, which means, and he didn't have any declarations to state about this, which means I can use that other level of hypnosis online. I can actually do online sessions, but I cannot do an exclusive QHHT, which the QHHT is just a script. That's what most people don't know.
Yeah, because, Tasmania's only got 500,000 people in it. There's not many. We're just a tiny little country state, where everyone knows everyone. It's so intense. But, there's limited resources, but there's massive natural resources, but limited people resources.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I get it. And So the only thing you would need for an online session is absolutely nobody around. No, it has to be absolutely quiet. You'd probably have to have a headset so that way you could hear me properly and I can hear you. It has to be like the McDonald's headset microphone set, like the gaming set or something. So that way I
right.
can hear you. So
Yeah. All right. Well, let me think about that. I'm still currently building my illegal tiny house. We don't tell the council anything in Tasmania. We just build things.
You just do what you want. This is the thing. People have been jumping through the Saturnian hoops, paying the pride, pay the pauper and all this, pay the whatever. That's all the lies we're perpetuating by saying, oh, I got to have a certificate to do anything. No. This is our domain.
No, and that's the thing. And I've just started healing. I do like my Oracle tarot cards, and I just started doing it. And it's weird. Like, people just rock up at my door, and I'm like, who are you? They're like, going to come for a reading. I'm like, okay, whatever. Nice. And, they come in with down energy and they leave with happy energy. So I must be doing something, all right?
Yeah, exactly. We're all here to help. That's always across the board. When anybody says, what's my purpose? You're here to help in some way.
Yeah, that's it. And just find a way to help and help the best you can.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, so wonderful. So wonderful.
Yeah.
To see you. And Derek and Shelly and Estefania. Yeah, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Does anybody else have anything to say? It's 10 o'clock and we've been here for a while, so I don't want to keep everybody this long. I didn't intend for it to be this long, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, with that being said, thank you again. I can't thank you enough for just being here tonight and expressing your interest in this, because we need more warriors in the world with the tools to go out here and start destroying this darkness. It's the beginning. We're seeing the beginning of the end of their dark reign.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Have a good evening and a good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you so much for your participation. And I'll let you know when I have this video available. I might have to put it in several parts since it's so long.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Bye, you too.
Bye.